Hey guys, welcome to the next tutorial of ethical hacking and penetration testing via Kali Linux. So in the previous tutorial I taught you exactly how SQL injection works. So before I proceed, I'll start with a bit of what things are included in that, and then I will show you exactly how you can go ahead and penetrate into some or the other website. And as of now I don't have the website with me, since I cannot go ahead and actually inject someone else's website, but I won't be able to go ahead and show you that practically, but I will be showing you what are the things that we need and how it exactly works, so that you have an in-depth knowledge as to when you want to inject someone else with this SQL query, you'll know exactly what to do. So to start with, SQL injection is just a code injection technique, and it is used to attack data-driven application in which malicious SQL statements are inserted into an entry field for execution. That is example, let's say, to dump the database contents to the attacker. SQL injection must exploit a security vulnerability in the application software. So for example, when user input is either incorrectly filtered or for string literal escape characters embedded in SQL statements, or user input is not strongly typed and unexpectedly executed, SQL injection is most commonly known as an attack vector for websites, but it can be used to attack any type of SQL databases. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use the SQL map SQL injection on Kali Linux to hack into a website, more specifically a database, and extract the usernames and passwords on Kali Linux. So to start with, what is SQL map? SQL map is an open source feature, or you can say as open source penetration testing tool that automates the process of detecting and exploiting SQL injection flaws and taking over of database servers. So it can be like, for example, if you are browsing something, then you can just go ahead and write some query in the URL of a particular website, and it will take you to that. Let's say, for example, in my company, I had a intranet and I was an IT person over there. So what exactly happened was that every person has their own account, and they could see their own, you can say as, let's say for example, they could see their own leaves and all those stuff, how many times they were late and how many times they have taken leaves, whether they were present or not, and everything. So each person had their own account and only they can see it was made in that way. But there were some people around who started knowing about everyone else and started complaining to other people's bosses, stating that they have taken leaves, whereas these people were not allowed, and all those stuff. So when I went ahead and checked into that specific application, how they were doing, and they were not even actually any IT people who were actually doing this. They were just a simple 23, 24-year people who had just gotten into the organization with no idea what they were actually doing was SQL injection. So the simplest thing what they did was that my company's URL was like, it was an intranet, and when you go ahead and log in into intranet, it will go ahead and show your specific ID on the URL. So what people used to do, people used to go ahead and change only the employee ID code. Let's say for example, my dummy ID code would be 15093. So if I wanted to check someone else's, so I could just go ahead and check his ID card. Let's say for example, it's one if the other person's ID code is 5095. I would straight away go ahead and insert only replace that specific ID number with 15095, and it will give me all his details, even if I have not logged in into that account. And that was a bug, and that is what actual SQL injection is. The people over there did not actually even know what they were doing, but still it was SQL injection. So that's how it looks like. So SQL injection, SQL map in Kali Linux, it comes with a powerful detection engine, many features for the ultimate penetration tester, and a broad range of switches lasting from, let's say, data fingerprinting or over data fetching from database to accessing the underlying file system and executing commands on the operating system via out-of-band connections. It can do that, yes. So these are some of the important features of SQL map. I have not written every one of them, but I will be telling you each and every one of them. So it has full support for MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, and Microsoft SQL Server, Microsoft Access, IBM DB2, that's database 2, SQLite, Firebird, Seabase, SAP, Max database management systems, as you can see over here. And SQL support, it provides full support for 6 SQL injection techniques. That's Boolean based blind, time-based blind, error-based blind, so not error-based blind, it's just error-based, union queries, stacked queries, and out of band. After that, it also supports to directly connect to the database without passing via an SQL injection by providing database management system credentials, IP addresses, ports, and even a database name. It also supports to enumerate users, password hashes, privileges, roles, databases, tables, and column. It can also go ahead and automatically recognize a password hash format, and it will also provide support. If not only hacking, it will also provide support for cracking them using dictionary-based attack. It also has support to dump database tables entirely, or a range of entries or specific columns as per user's choice. It's quite user friendly, and the user can also go ahead and choose to dump only let's say a range of characters from the each column's entry. You can say it also has support to search for specific database names, specific tables all across the database, or specific columns across all database tables. This is useful for, let's say, for instance, when you want to identify tables containing custom application credentials where relevant column names contain a string like name and pass. So it also supports to download and upload any file from the database server underlying file system when the database software is MySQL, PostgreSQL, or Microsoft SQL Server. It has support to execute arbitrary commands to retrieve all of these things, and the standard output on the database server underlying operating system when database software is MySQL, PostgreSQL, or Microsoft SQL Server. It also has support for database processes using user privilege escalation via Metasploit's interpreter get system command. It can support to establish an out-of-band stateful TCP connection between the attacker machine and the database server underlying the operating system. So this channel can be an interactive command prompt such as a interpreter session or a graphical user interface such as VNC session as per the user's choice. So yeah, that's it for that. I don't think I can make it much more clearer than it is already, because this is the simplest thing that I can tell you. So let's start with actually going ahead and gaining some access to some computers or to some databases through MySQL queries. So the first thing that you would have to do is to go ahead and find a vulnerable website. So this is usually the toughest bit and takes longer than any steps. Those who know how to use Google Docs know this already, but in case you don't know just anything, you can just go ahead and search in Google. Just copy paste any of the lines in Google, and Google will show you a number of results. So I'll just go ahead and show you a few examples as to how Google works. Let me just show you. If you think that Google is just used for going ahead from one website to another, then you're wrong. I'll just show you one simple example. And just type, let's say for example, if I'll just give a few examples, such as if I wanted to search, let's say, any specific person on Facebook. So this is just an example as to how we can go ahead and use Google Docs. So instead of me going ahead and searching, I can just, let's say for example, the person's name is Sandy and the last name would be, let's say for example, Smith, Sandy Smith. So, or Adam Smith, just to be more precise. I'll just go ahead and select, let's say, in text, I'll just go ahead and select Adam, and I'll just go ahead and type, let's say, in text, and I'll go ahead and use it as, let's say, or I'll just use inside facebook.com. Let me see if this works. Site rather than insight. Okay, my Chrome is stuck. I'll just go ahead and modify it a bit. So what I should get over here is that everything related to the name Adam on the site facebook.com. I should not get any even a single search more than that. Perfect. So as you can see, I have over here Adam page from facebook.com, and I think these are the only few people from facebook.com. If I had something else, then I could also go ahead and select that. Or I could just type, let's say, you can just type Adam inside facebook.com, it will give me everything related to Adam, from let's say name or last name or anything from facebook.com. So only if this works, let me check. That seems to be extremely so. Okay, let's see. Perfect. As you can see, I have Adam page over here, everything related to facebook.com. So this is what I'm trying to explain over here is that Google Docs can help you search all the vulnerable websites. So you don't need to go ahead and actually go ahead and check from website to website as to how you can go ahead and gather any or every other Google information. So that there are really long lists. So I only showed you in text and in site or just site. There are in URL and cache memory files. So the list is quite long, and if I go ahead and write that down, it will take me a long time to go ahead and collect them. So if you know SQL, then you can still go ahead and add more. And Google is very vulnerable to SQL, so you can easily go ahead and search a lot of things only from SQL. So that would be our step one. And the second thing would be we need to go ahead and do an initial check. So initial check would be to confirm if the website is vulnerable to SQL map injection. So, but that would be it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be continuing with the initial check part.